Hey everyone, so it has been a while since we really focused in on the fit of glasses, how to find that right frame for you that actually fits on the face, is going to wear comfortably, and looks good, because that matters with the glasses too. It's part of the personality, it's something you wear every day, whether it's the same pair or a bunch of different pairs. It matters how they fit and feel on you, unless you're wearing them for only an hour or so, in which case, break all the rules and have all the fun with them. For now, let's dive into the fit. All right, so first things first, and I am going to get this out of the way because I hear it all the time and it drives me absolutely mad. Somebody will say, oh, I can only wear a 16 bridge, or, oh yeah, I wear like a 56 frame. Well, first of all, those numbers don't mean what you think they mean. They can mean something useful, but in general and by and large, they really just don't. It tells you numbers that are important for production of glasses, but as far as how they actually fit on your face, it largely doesn't mean anything today, especially in some of the more stylish, thicker acetate frames, because there's so much other stuff going on than just the numbers. A super thin rimmed metal frame, sure, those numbers give you some information about the fit, but it's still going to be pretty limited because the horns and the extensions on the side can affect overall width of the frame. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what you should look for in a pair of glasses that actually fits on the face and is going to function like you expect it to and feel good while you're wearing it, because that's always key. Feel good, some of that comes from adjustment, which we have a ton of other videos on. Feel free to hit that playlist link and go to the adjustments section. You can find how to fine tune that pair of glasses perfectly for your face once you've selected it. For now, we're going to focus on the overall selection. Key is the bridge, and again, it's not as simple as, oh, I wear a 16 bridge, because that little bridge number tells you the distance from here to here, the inside edge of the lens to the inside edge of the lens. It is a production number that helps us get the lenses where they belong. As far as how it actually fits on the face, this is a 21 bridge, DBL actually, by the way, is the distance between the lenses. And the bridge fit of these is more of a 17-18. Again, the numbers don't mean what you think they do. This guy here is actually 19. It's 19 bridge. And you'll find that also fits very nicely. 2 millimeters larger for this guy, still fits well on the bridge. Actually, that's a lie. These are 20, those are 19. It's a millimeter, but still, it works. I've got something around here that I know is much smaller than a 20 or a 19. Here we go. Aviators. I love these guys for throwing that out the window. Yeah, it's 14 bridge here, and these still fit really nicely. So there's that. Overall width, what you want to look for on the frame is exactly what you see, and I'm grabbing a lot of examples that fit really well, really quickly in a lot of different shapes. So I'm going to try to break that down and back it up just a little bit for you. The overall width, you want to be really close and even with the sides of the head, or to follow that cheek line and uplift if you're going for more of the edgy aviators or the cat eyes. Again, this thing looks much larger width-wise, but it's still hitting that cheek line really nicely and flowing up to the outer edge. It's more of that uplifting look. It's very desirable, very pleasant, very good things. In sunglasses, of course, you can go much larger, these two here, because you don't see the eyes there. Now, I will throw a caveat on there. If you get a frame that is just super, super large as an optical pair, and let's see, I don't think I have a really good example of that here on hand, but it does bring the eyes in a little bit closer. So if your eyes are really narrow set to begin with, you don't want to go in that super oversized frame, because you're just going to make that effect look even worse. If that bothers you. If it doesn't bother you, by all means, do whatever you like. Oh, this was a good example. This one's a 22 bridge, so 2 millimeters larger than the other. And actually, if anything, is a little bit more narrow through the bridge and doesn't fit quite as well. It's a little bit thicker material through here. It's built up at a very different splay angle. It's a little bit more inward. I can tell right off on me that doesn't fit quite as well, even though the frame is much larger overall, but that is a contribution of the larger lens size and the larger bridge and the thicker material all playing together. But It still works for kind of that oversized look. Again, it is getting a little on the super big side. It's moving my head around. You can see that a little bit more. So from the bridge, I'm always going to throw my Amsterdam back on because this is almost the example of a perfect fit. This is what you want, and I bragged about this from the very first time I tried on Amsterdam. It's like it was made for me. So as you can see, the temples aren't really bowed out wide, super anything weird. They're mostly going straight back on the face, hitting the cheek line really nicely here. It's a little bit uplifting. I like a little bit more of a flare out. Some of my other frames do that. If you've seen those, in particular, the Jesco and one of my customs do that really well. When you get back here, this is a little bit more adjustment, but you don't want anything super, super long. So you can see these pretty much follow the curve of the ear and the head, fit really nicely back into that back corner without really just screaming out. And yeah, the two-tone frame works really good for this, doesn't it? So you've got the neon all the way back to here. You can go a little bit longer than that. You can go a hair shorter than that. You don't want it much, much shorter because then all of that pressure is riding right in that area. And I can tell you that just doesn't feel super great. But again, behind the ear is a little bit more about getting that adjustment fine-tuned than it is exactly the length. And that's why today you see a lot of frames that have a large adjustment area there, but the temples are all pretty much a standardized length. For the most part, they're going to fall between 130 and 140 millimeters, with some examples falling outside of that. For the most part, it's what you've got to work with today. Fortunately or not, it's what we were given. In fact, these guys, I think, were a 145. Yeah. And again, the number doesn't mean as much as you think it does, because this is a 145. This guy here is what, a 130? Yeah, 136. So 10 millimeters shorter, but overall not adjusted. It's still hitting right in that area. You know, it's just behind the bend of that mastoid bone there. You probably can't tell that on camera, but I can tell you that by feel. 10 millimeters shorter, still fits largely the same. Don't get too caught up in the numbers, guys. They'll trick you and they'll make things worse. Just put on frames, see what looks good, what feels good. Very important on the feel, but again, keep in mind the adjustment has a lot to play with there. So if you find a frame you love, the overall size looks good, you can definitely get some adjustments to get that fine-tuned in just a little bit further. Let's see. Make sure I haven't missed anything now. We talked about the bridge, we talked about the overall sizing, talked about the fit behind the ear. One other one here that I just want to go over, and I need a super huge frame in order to do that, and I've got to cheat a little bit on the fit, but if it's hitting on the cheeks here, that is not something you want in the glasses. First of all, they're going to wear very hot to you because there's not a lot of airflow coming around the frame. Now, put that down, it's not hitting on my cheeks as much anymore, but you know, we're trying to get a point across, right? So if you run into this situation, you're not getting a lot of airflow, it's not super comfortable, it can cause a lot of sweat, it's just not pleasant to wear. Also, you'll get a lot of dirt and oil buildup around that bottom edge of the frame. Now, on the inverse, the same thing is true on the top side. If you have a frame that fits really close to that brow line, this guy does that, they're going to sit, and you can even see a little bit when I squeeze down there. This is more the adjustment I've got on this one right now because it is a metal frame. I can move it out just a little bit, and that's not a problem anymore. But I am a typical myope. I want those lenses as close to my face as I can get them, even if that means I have to clean them a little bit more often because there's just a little bit of gunk right up in that corner. Now, this is a really good example, again, of the overall fit. The width is very close, temple's going straight back, still falls in this area. It's pretty basic principles. It's nothing really insanely crazy, but a lot of people don't really want to take the time to find that frame because you have like thousands of different frames to go through, and I'm not saying try thousands of different frames. Don't. Here's the don't. Don't go into the store and look at 50 variations of basically the exact same frame because yeah, they're going to fit pretty much the same. Got that out of the way. I've seen people do it. I haven't seen people do it in my store, but I've seen people do it. I've seen posts of pictures of baskets full of frames. It's like 100 different frames, and every frame is exactly the same. I don't know what you were shopping for, but it wasn't whatever was in that basket, and every frame in that basket is essentially the same. Don't be the person that does that, and also don't be the optician that lets that continue, because there's a much, much better way. And that is variety, guys. Variety. This, very different, still a good fit. There's fun to be had, right? And you're gonna have fun, and we're gonna play with cool glasses, and that's just the way it's gonna work. I really need to put new lenses in this one. Anyways, there you go. My rant on fit for the day, and ignoring those damn numbers because it drives me insane when somebody says, and I have heard it twice this weekend, so that's probably the reason for the rant, I have to have a 16 bridge. Cool, forget that number, try this on. And yes, I said that both times. Anyways, that's all I've got on size and fit for now. We'll jump into shape another time. It's not quite as relevant as you would think it is because you can wear far more than you think. It is a lot about structure. That we'll get into next week. So, I'll catch you guys next time, and let me know if this video helped you or if I was just a rambling idiot the entire time. Possibly both.